I manage a vintage bookshop in Edinburgh. Last Tuesday, an American woman marched in holding her phone, showing me a screenshot of our shop with a 5-star rating. She announced she'd flown specifically to see the famous store with the incredible customer service. I told her we were grateful she'd come. She smiled, waited, then asked when the complimentary tea service started. I said we didn't offer tea. She laughed and said, "Right, the British sense of humor thing. But seriously, where's the tea station?" I explained again that we sold books, not refreshments. She insisted that all British shops have tea because it's literally your national beverage. I tried telling her that's not how retail works here, but she'd already pulled up another article on her phone about British tea culture. She spent 10 minutes explaining to me, a Scotsman, how tea was central to our identity, and therefore we must serve it. She left a 1-star review saying we were inauthentic. My cousin works at a heritage railway in Wales. An American tourist asked if the trains ran on actual coal because he'd read they were historically accurate steam engines. My cousin confirmed they did. The tourist then insisted they should offer a coal shoveling experience, where passengers could shovel coal themselves, since that's the whole point of authenticity. My cousin explained that only train staff could access the engine compartment for safety reasons. The American said that was such a British excuse, and that American heritage railways would trust their customers more. He pulled up a safety waiver template on his phone and offered to sign it immediately. My cousin had to explain 3 times that insurance regulations existed. The man spent the journey photographing the engine from his seat, muttering about liability culture ruining experiences. I work front desk at a Manchester hotel. A couple from California checked in and asked where they could find the traditional British breakfast experience with the royal family treatment. I recommended our breakfast restaurant downstairs. They wanted to know if we served it with proper British accents because they'd seen it in movies where staff speak all fancy. I said our staff were Mancunian and would sound Mancunian. The woman asked if they could do the accent anyway, because that's what British breakfast is supposed to sound like. Her husband agreed, adding that authenticity matters. I suggested they might enjoy the breakfast regardless of accents. They showed up the next morning, recorded themselves eating beans on toast, and posted a video complaining that none of the staff committed to the theme. The video has 80,000 views. I'm a librarian in Bristol. An American student asked if the library offered quiet hours because she needed to study. I told her the entire library was quiet. She said she meant actually quiet, like enforced quiet. I explained we were, in fact, a library. She laughed and said, "Yeah, but people still talk, right?" I said they generally didn't. She couldn't process this. She asked what happened if someone took a phone call. I said we'd ask them to leave. She insisted that was extreme and kind of authoritarian. She told me American libraries have designated quiet zones, but most of the library is collaborative space where you can socialize. She said this like she was educating me on modern library science. She proceeded to answer a phone call at her desk, speaking at full volume, and was genuinely shocked when I approached her. She argued that it's just a quick call and that nobody else seems bothered. She filed a complaint saying British libraries were hostile to neurodivergent communication styles. My brother manages a private members club in London. An American banker joined and immediately asked about the networking mixers. My brother said we didn't host those. The American said every private club in Manhattan has networking event. My brother explained that members here generally preferred privacy. The American insisted that the whole point of a club is meeting people. He pitched an idea for monthly connection sessions where members would speed network for business opportunities. My brother reiterated that our members valued discretion and quiet. The American argued that we were leaving money on the table and that British business culture is stuck in the past. He actually said that building relationships was how modern professionals operate. He started approaching members directly, introducing himself and asking about their industries. 3 members complained. He genuinely couldn't understand why people weren't receptive, calling it unnecessarily cold and insular. I work at a village post office in Somerset. An American woman came in asking for stamps, then asked why there wasn't a queue management system with electronic tickets. I gestured to the line of 4 people waiting silently. She said she meant a proper system, like they have at the DMV. I told her people just waited in line. She said that was inefficient, because you can't track wait times or customer satisfaction. She started explaining how electronic queue systems work, as if I'd never seen one. She insisted they were standard in developed countries. She asked if I'd consider implementing one to modernize the customer experience. I said we had 6 customers a day on average. She replied that forward-thinking businesses plan for scale. She took a picture of our queue system and posted it on LinkedIn as an example of operational inefficiency in rural economies. 2 people from the village commented defending our post office. She replied to both explaining that tradition shouldn't prevent progress. I'm a city planner in Liverpool. An American consultant attended a public meeting about a new pedestrian zone. He asked why we weren't considering innovation districts with startup incubators. I explained this was about foot traffic and green space. He said that modern urban planning integrates economic development. He proceeded to give a 15-minute presentation on how San Francisco's Innovation Quarter transformed the economy. Nobody had asked for his input. He genuinely believed he was contributing valuable expertise. He kept using phrases like thought leadership and catalytic investment zones. He insisted our plans were thinking too small and that Liverpool needed to compete globally. I told him we were trying to create a nice place for people to walk. He replied that placemaking is just one element of a comprehensive urban strategy. He handed out business cards to everyone, offering complimentary consultation sessions. He was escorted out after repeatedly interrupting speakers. He later emailed the council saying British cities would never reach their potential with this attitude. I work at a pub in Cambridge. An American ordered fish and chips, ate half, then told me it was fine but not special. I said I was glad it was fine. He waited a moment then asked, "So you don't want feedback?" I said he'd given me feedback. He said he meant constructive criticism to improve the recipe. I told him we'd been making fish and chips the same way since 1923. He said that was exactly the problem. He suggested we innovate the format by adding sriracha aioli or doing a deconstructed version with the fish served separately. He said American gastropubs had elevated the concept. I said we were just a pub. He insisted that stagnation is death in the food industry and that customer feedback drives excellence. He asked to speak to the chef to share his ideas. The chef told him to piss off. He left a review saying we were defensive about criticism and refusing to evolve. The review ends with, "This is why British cuisine has a bad reputation internationally." My sister runs a tea room in Bath. 2 Americans came in and ordered afternoon tea. When it arrived, they asked where the customization options were. My sister asked what they meant. They wanted to know if they could swap the cucumber sandwiches for turkey because cucumber isn't filling enough. My sister said the menu was set. They asked if they could at least get the sandwiches on the side so they could control the experience. She explained that afternoon tea was a specific tradition. They insisted that in America we accommodate preferences and that flexibility is basic hospitality. The man said his mother had celiac disease, so they needed modifications. My sister offered to show them the ingredient. They didn't want that. They wanted her to agree that customer satisfaction should come first. They ate everything, then complained that the portions were too small for the price. They left saying British food culture was pretentious and inflexible. They posted a video titled, "Why British Afternoon Tea is Overrated," that got 12,000 likes. I work at a Michelin-starred restaurant in Edinburgh. An American couple dined with us and spent the entire meal photographing every course with professional lighting equipment they brought. They rearranged plating, asked servers to hold dishes at specific angles, and took 45 minutes to photograph a single dessert. Other diners complained. I quietly mentioned that flash photography disrupted other guests. The man said they were content creators, and this was how restaurants get exposure now. He insisted we should be grateful for the free marketing. He said Michelin restaurants in New York encourage social media documentation. I explained that our policy asked guests to be considerate. He replied that people need to see this food to appreciate it, and that gatekeeping fine dining is elitist. His wife added that our followers deserve authentic experiences. I suggested they enjoy the meal without devices. They called this anti-social media bias and posted that we were stuck in the past while American fine dining embraces modern culture. The post included a rant about European snobbery toward digital creators. I manage a farmer's market in Devon. An American vendor applied for a stall, wanting to sell authentic British jam with American innovation. I asked what that meant. She explained she'd add superfood boosters, like acai and spirulina, to traditional recipes. I said our market focused on local, traditional product. She argued that innovation is how you stay relevant, and that British markets are dying because they resist change. She insisted that Americans understand branding and could teach us how to modernize heritage products. She said her jam would appeal to younger demographics and save the market from irrelevance. I told her we had a waiting list of local producers. She replied that this is exactly why British agriculture struggles, and that protected markets prevent competition. She sent a follow-up email with a business plan explaining how her disruptive approach would revolutionize British food culture. She ended by saying, "You can either adapt or become obsolete." We gave her stall to a woman who makes chutney from hedgerow fruit. I'm a parking attendant in Oxford. An American couple parked in a resident-only bay and came back to find a ticket on their windscreen. They marched over, insisting it was a mistake because we're tourists, so obviously the rules don't apply. I explained that resident only means only resident. The woman said that in America, enforcement officers use discretion for visitors. I told her we don't have that policy. Her husband argued that common sense says tourists shouldn't be penalized for not knowing local rules. He said they'd contest the fine because entrapment is illegal. I explained it wasn't entrapment. There were 3 signs clearly marking the bay. He insisted the signs were deliberately unclear and designed to trick foreigners. He pulled up a photo he'd taken of the sign and tried to explain to me why it was confusing, despite it saying residents only in letters 6 inches tall. His wife demanded to know where tourists were supposed to park. I pointed to the public car park 50 meters away. She said that was too far and not convenient. They filed a complaint saying Oxford was anti-tourism and hostile to international visitors. They posted on TripAdvisor warning Americans that the UK tickets tourists on purpose as a revenue scheme. I work at a museum in Newcastle. An American teacher brought her family and asked if we offered educational discounts for homeschoolers. I said we had standard family tickets. She insisted that homeschool families should get reduced rates because we're contributing to education. I explained our pricing structure didn't include that category. She argued that American museums recognize homeschoolers as educational institutions. She said she had credentials and showed me a laminated card she'd made herself saying Certified Home Educator. I told her it wasn't official accreditation. She was offended, saying homeschooling is a valid educational choice and that I was discriminating against alternative learning. I clarified that I wasn't questioning homeschooling, we just didn't offer specific discounts for it. She demanded to speak to someone in charge. The curator explained the same thing. She left saying British museums don't value education and posted in a homeschool Facebook group that the UK doesn't respect parental rights in education. She claimed we interrogated her credentials and made her feel unwelcome for choosing homeschool. 12 Americans commented agreeing that Europe doesn't understand freedom in education. I work at a train station in York. An American asked when the express service to London left. I told him all our trains to London were direct. He asked which one was fastest. I explained they all took roughly the same time. He insisted there must be a premium option with business class seating and expedited travel. I said we had first-class carriages but travel time was identical. He couldn't accept this. He asked if he could pay extra for priority, because that's how travel works. I showed him the timetable. He studied it and said, "So you're telling me there's no competitive advantage between services?" I confirmed. He argued that market efficiency requires tiered options, and that British Rail is leaving money on the table. He said American rail systems offer multiple service levels based on consumer willingness to pay. I mentioned American Rail is famously limited. He replied that, at least we understand basic economics. He bought the cheapest ticket, then complained to a conductor that British trains don't reward loyalty or premium customers. My mate drives a black cab in London. He picked up an American who immediately said, "Just use the GPS, I'll navigate." My mate said he didn't need GPS. The American insisted, pulling up Google Map. My mate explained that London cabbies spend years learning every street in the city. The American said, "Yeah, but technology is faster and more accurate now." He started giving directions from his phone. My mate ignored him and took the optimal route. The American kept saying, "The app says to turn here," getting increasingly frustrated. My mate arrived at the destination in 12 minutes. The American checked his phone and said the GPS estimated 18 minutes. He refused to accept that his route was slower. He insisted the app was correct and my mate got lucky with traffic. He actually said, "Human knowledge can't compete with algorithms." He left a review saying London cabbies were resistant to modern navigation tools and arrogant about outdated skills. He included a whole paragraph about how AI will replace this inefficiency soon. I work the ticket desk at a West End theater. An American woman asked if we had accessible seating with good views available. I showed her our accessibility seating chart. She asked why accessible seats weren't in the front row center. I explained our accessible section was in the stalls with excellent views. She said that in America, ADA compliance means premium access, and that accessible seating should be the best seats. I told her our accessible seats were well positioned. She insisted that equal access means equal quality, and that relegating disabled patrons to any section that isn't front and center is discrimination. I explained that front row seats have obstructed views due to stage height. She said I was making excuses, and that British theaters clearly don't prioritize inclusion. She demanded to speak to management. The manager explained the same thing. She left saying we had terrible disability rights, and posted a thread about how the UK pretends to care about accessibility but doesn't actually provide equity. She'd never asked if she needed accessible seating, she just wanted front row seat. I'm a tour guide in Edinburgh Castle. An American couple asked how old the castle was. I said parts dated to the 12th century. The man interrupted to say he'd read it was actually built in the 6th century. I clarified that occupation of the rock dated to ancient times, but the current structures were medieval. He insisted the internet says 6th century, and showed me a tourism website that had confused the castle rock with the structures. I explained the difference. He said I was splitting hairs, and that the castle is basically 6th century. His wife agreed, adding that tour guides always downplay history to seem modest. She said Americans appreciate the full truth, while British people understate everything. I tried explaining again. He cut me off, saying, "We've done our research. We probably know more than you do." They spent the entire tour correcting me with information from random blogs. They told other tourists that I was intentionally underselling the castle's age because of British self-deprecation. They posted a review saying I lacked enthusiasm and didn't properly appreciate Scottish history. They included their own accurate timeline sourced from a Wikipedia article about Castle Rock geology. I run a comedy club in Manchester. An American comic asked to perform, saying he does crowds in Brooklyn all the time. I booked him for a Friday night. He opened with 5 minutes about how British people talk funny and everything is smaller here, even the ambitions. Not one laugh. Dead silence. He tried harder, doing an exaggerated accent and joking that, "You guys need to loosen up." People started leaving. He got frustrated and said, "Americans know how to take a joke, I guess you can't laugh at yourselves." Someone yelled back, "We can laugh, you're just not funny." He finished to complete silence. Afterward, he told me the crowd was too sensitive and that British humor is overrated anyway. He said American comedy was more evolved because we don't hide behind politeness. I told him he just wasn't very good. He replied that cultural differences explained the response. I said no, he was simply rubbish. He left insisting British audiences don't understand real comedy and posted a video explaining how UK crowds are too uptight for American-style humor. The video has 40 comments, all from British people agreeing he was terrible. He blamed that on Brits protecting their failing comedy scene. He still doesn't get it.